Tom's a good role for me because I don't have to stray too far from myself. I think it's about reconnecting with nature. I think it's about rejecting the model that we've built for ourselves. I think that's certainly what Tom is doing. Everyone's going to have a great time if they come and see the show. It's really, really funny.
Just a quick one before we get back to the episode. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you who watches Showtime. The regulars, the occasional viewers, and those of you who might be tuning in for the very first time today. It really does mean the world. But here's the thing, only about 7% of people who are watching are actually subscribing to my YouTube channel. So if you enjoy what we're doing here, please hit that subscribe button. Not just for the algorithm or for the channel, but because it really does help us keep making more of the stuff that you love. Thanks again for watching. Now back to Showtime. This is Showtime, a podcast about the people behind the curtain and the stories that shape them. I'm Andrew G, and each week I sit down with creatives, leaders and risk takers from the theatre world and beyond. We talk about what they do, why they do it, and what it really takes to keep showing up. Nick Ancelin, a French-born, UK-trained actor, making his Australian theatre debut in The Good Life. It's running from the 7th of November at Bayside Arts and Cultural Centre. So from Nottingham to Melbourne, Nick's story spans clowning, Shakespeare, and a little bit of self-sufficiency, both on stage and off. Welcome to Showtime, Nick Ancelin.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Clowning. Tell me how that started, where that got you to.
Oh my, yeah. So clowning's been something I've been a little bit obsessed with ever since. My first exposure really to it was, watching the classical clowns, Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, Lawrence and Hardy, and just thinking they were hilarious. And then at drama school, we had an incredible teacher called a chap called Mick Barnfather. He still runs clowning workshops in London. So if anyone wants to learn from an absolute genius, book in if you can be over there. But he had an ability, he still has an ability to walk in a room, and he had funny bones. I don't have funny bones. I had to learn comic timing. I have to learn, really try hard at it. It is something you can learn, but he had funny bones. He walked into a room. All he had was a couple of cards in his hand. Do a couple of exercises with the whole group, and we were all rolling around in laughter. He would do all the silly, stupid slapstick gags, but in a way that was so organic and natural that it didn't feel like someone was trying to be funny. And I think that essence of being funny, being so good that you can be funny but not trying to be funny, that's what Mick encapsulated, and that's what all the great clowns sort of do. They play a clown with such sincerity that you can't help but find them funny. You can't help but feel a bit sad for them, find them a bit tragic.
Was it clowning and comedy that drew you into performing?
Oh, what drew me into performing? I got into performing really, really late, actually, Andrew. I had a bit part in a school play, way back when I was about 14, 15. I only did that because there was a girl I fancied in the cast, and I wanted to spend a bit more time with her. That was my first exposure into performing. I played Mr. Brownlow. I said, no singing, no dancing, just straight acting, please. And that was it was Oliver Twist played Mr. Brownlow and his granddad. And I think that I can remember a moment in that play where my perception of performing completely changed, and it was a totally organic moment. I was wearing a hat, like a top hat, very precariously fitted to the top of my head, very loose. A bit worse than yours, one that you're wearing now. And at the end of the play, Oliver's granddad, Mr. Brownlow, has to run over and embrace Oliver. He's been saved. He's been, he's going to come and adopt him, and he's going to save him from destitution. I run across stage and I embrace Oliver. I did it with a lot of gumption. I didn't know what I was doing. No technique involved at all. I embraced him. All of a sudden came to a stop. The hat did like a 720 off my head. I reached out and caught it by the brim, completely unplanned. Couldn't do it again if I tried. And that, people still mention that moment to me now. Like, you remember when you caught that hat? That was amazing. You must have rehearsed that for hours. No, I didn't rehearse it at all. Completely accidental. But that was like the first moment where I thought, God, the live nature of being in an audience, getting instant feedback from an audience, that's just magic.
Since then, you've had your training in comedy and clowning. What would you have done with that moment with the benefit of your clowning training?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was so good. It was so organic that I couldn't really have done anything more. I mean, I could have done a double take. That would have been pretty funny if you saw it in my eyes. But yeah, it was so organic that I don't know. Sometimes the best things are unplanned.
Do you think comedy comes from timing or it comes from truth?
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think it's really important to. I think it's timing, but you have to be sincere. I think with any joke, absolutely any joke, there's a hint of truth. There's a seed of truth in any good joke, and I think you have to believe it. People don't know they're being funny half the time, and that's what makes them funny. And then timing is just the technical way to deliver it. And I think that can be taught. It's just rhythm, really.
Do you think there's much of a difference between a British audience and an Aussie audience?
Oh, I'm actually making my stage debut in a couple of weeks, so I've not had the pleasure of performing for Australian audiences yet. But I don't know. We seem to find similar things funny. A lot of great sitcoms, great British TV, is really popular over here as well. And some Australian stuff is extremely funny as well, like Kath and Kim. We have a lot of shared history, right? And we have a lot of shared culture. And I think it's almost it's as close as you can get to a British audience. I think is an Australian one.
But you didn't come to Australia to find performing or to rediscover performing, did you? You came for a very different reason.
Yeah. So I was the story about me moving to Australia. I'm still a backpacker. I came here as a backpacker on a backpacker's visa. I was about to buy a house on my own in not a very nice part of the UK, bit run down, bit rough. We were about to be saddled with a mortgage for 40 years. And I thought, what the hell am I doing? There's definitely a better way to do this, better way to live life. And I've just flipped it on its head. I'd appointed solicitors, I was about to sign the contract to go through and exchange contracts. And, it's about a week away from securing the sale, me buying the property. And I said, I'm not doing it. Pulled out, lost a load of money. But I don't regret it for a second. Came over here. I worked as a backpacker. I stopped performing really due to COVID. That had a real big impact in theatres back home. I'm sure it did here as well. And I've been looking to get more involved throughout my time I've been here. And then this role popped up. I saw it on the VDL, Victorian Drama League, and I thought, why not? So it's a cracking role. Let's go and audition for it. What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen?
What is the worst that can happen? Oh, I don't know. Don't get me started on that. A lot.
You're saying it's your theatre debut. Of course, it's your theatre debut in Australia. You've done a lot of theatre.
I've done a lot
in the UK.
Yeah, I've done a lot of theatre in Manchester, in Birmingham. I've done a lot of theatre, done a lot of radio. But I'm super excited. Like we've had a lot of people in the rehearsal room as we've been doing it, and we've been getting a lot of feedback, instant feedback on what's working and what's not. I can't wait. I really can't wait until the day we get to show it to an audience, and hopefully they laugh. I think they will.
Is it true that one of your dream roles is Henry V?
Oh yeah. For some reason, I've just always really connected with that role. Another one of my teachers, I think I'm really a product of my teachers, and I've been so lucky to have incredible people teach me their elements of their craft, and that's one thing I'm super thankful for. A chap called Andrew Jarvis. He's a bit of a veteran in the RSC. I think he literally sits on the board of the Royal Shakespeare Society. He's up there. And we had the pleasure of him taking us and teaching us how to play Shakespeare, which is an incredible honour. Learned so much about stagecraft, about Shakespeare and the text itself. I think he when I was with him, I played Coriolanus, a little bit playing under my age there. about 70, I think, in real life. Well, he's meant to be. But yeah, I think Henry V. My dream role would actually be to play Hal in 4, 1 and 2, and then 5th, because you get the through line. He's got an incredible journey, and you can showcase such different changes, especially from the first Henry IV to the end. He's basically a foil for Falstaff in the first one, and there's such great banter between those two. I think it's something that I can do relatively easily. If anyone wants to put it on, by the way, I can make myself available. But
And we've got some wonderful producers of Shakespeare here in Australia.
Yeah. I lived in Sydney for a bit. I saw Macbeth at the Opera House, Bell Shakespeare. That was pretty good. I don't get to see enough theatre as I should. But yeah, Shakespeare's brilliant. They're doing Burning House Theatre, are doing like I think it's Henry VI, like all 3 Henry VI's. So I can't wait to go and see that. Love a bit of Shakespeare.
But here you are about to open the Good Life in Bayside, Melbourne. For those that don't know, what is the Good Life?
So the Good Life is based on a really classic UK sitcom, and the premise, the original pilot, and what we do in the show as well is Tom, played by myself, is having a midlife crisis. He's about to turn 40. And suddenly he starts questioning. I'm sure we've all had these moments, on our birthdays. We go, what am I doing with my life? And he has that similar sort of thing over breakfast. And throughout the day, it unfolds. And he decides to, hopefully, well, there's no spoilers here because this is the show, but he quits his job. He does a complete 180 and he decides to go totally self-sufficient and basically make his normal suburban townhouse in Surrey, a farm. It's such a wacky thing to do. It's such an eccentric thing to do, but it's sort of secretly something that I wish I could do myself. I think Tom's a good role for me because I don't have to stray too far from myself, which is a nice place to be.
What do you think the Good Life says about happiness in our modern world?
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, I thought you'd ask me this. I made some notes. Do you mind if I get off my phone?
All.
Yeah,
Not
brilliant. So I think it's a comedy. It's really important to remember it's a comedy. It's meant to be funny, but there's also, truth and sincerity in it. And there is a deeper message if you choose to, and if you want to look for one, there is a deeper message. I think the world that we live in today is so false. I'm sitting here surrounded by lights and, shotgun mics and cameras. And, I've just been on a tram. I've only seen about 3 leaves today. Humans aren't really designed to live like that. We're apes. Like we're designed to be immersed in nature. And the world that we've created for ourselves is just so artificial. So I think what I think the play is about, and if you can find a deeper meaning, it'd be nice. But I think it's about reconnecting with nature. I think it's about sort of rejecting the model that we've built for ourselves. I think that's certainly what Tom is doing, and he plays against like societal expectations. I was reading Chekhov last night, just because that's sort of thing I do. I was reading Astrov in Uncle Vanya, and he says something in a line. It's like humans are given the power to create, so we may increase which has been given to us, but we've never created. We've only destroyed. And I think that sort of like umbrella captures what Tom. I think Tom would resonate a lot with what Astrov says in Uncle Vanya. We've created this world so artificial, rampant consumerism. We all benefit from that. We all enjoy the fruits of that, but it's not natural. We're designed to be in nature, immersed in nature. So I really hope people will go out and touch some grass after the play.
So it sounds to me almost like your character, Tom, is not, as it seems, escaping society, but really reconnecting with himself and reconnecting with the planet.
I think so. I think it's pretty amazing what the original writers of The Good Life did. I think they were a little bit ahead of the time, like Chekhov was when he wrote Uncle Vanya. You know, they sort of foresaw a lot of what's happening today of people wanting to escape to the country, escape city life, reject what's happening. Um, yeah.
Do you have a favourite moment in the play?
Do I have a favourite moment in the play? Yeah, I say an expletive about a vegetable, and I find it really funny, but I don't think I can say it on on the podcast. Another favourite moment, we have a. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's a really famous scene with a very very young farm animal that people may remember if they've watched the TV show, and there's a beautiful moment where we name that animal, and it's. I don't want to give I don't want to give too many spoilers away. Not sure what I should say on that.
We were talking about the deeper meaning
Yeah.
behind the play, but it is also a comedy.
It's a comedy.
It's a fun night out.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think I've droned on a bit about the seriousness of it, but first and foremost, it's people are going to have a lot of fun. It's really funny. The lady who plays Margot, Monica Greenwood, she's got some killer lines in there. Louise Gracie, she plays a few different parts, Felicity, and a few different parts. She's going to have the audience rolling with laughter as well. She's going to be so memorable. People are going to go, "Oh my God, she was so funny." Jerry, David Robinson, he's killing it as well. Jenya, who's playing Barbara, the Felicity Kendall role. She's absolutely fantastic. She's such a generous foil to play against. First and foremost, you can leave the deeper message to one side a little bit. Everyone's going to have a great time if they come and see the show. It's really, really funny.
What do you think are the biggest misconceptions of putting a comedy on stage?
Oh, that's a great question, Andrew. That's a great question. I think, the initial misconception and stuff that I see done, in my opinion, wrong, is to play it as a comedy. These people do not know they're being funny. They don't know they're delivering a joke. I think everything starts with sincerity and truth, and that's where you find the funniest moments. Do you think Basil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers was trying to be funny? Yes, John Cleese was trying to be funny, but Basil Fawlty was, with complete sincerity, trying to run a terrible hotel. And that's what made Fawlty Towers the huge success it was. David Brent in The Office, that is the epitome of pure sincerity. And that's what made the British Office such an overwhelming success.
By the British Office, you mean the original?
Oh yeah, the British
playing
Office.
At home.
Yeah, because most people think The Office is American now. I think, which is a shame.
It is a shame.
That's brilliant as well, the American Office.
Yeah, but different.
Yeah, but different.
Yes, Prime Minister kept popping into my head as I was hearing you say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's his name? The guy who played Jerry originally, Paul Eddington. He went on to do Yes Minister. That's complete sincerity in that program as well, and that's what delivers the laughs. It's always you should never play the comedy. It's never. That's like the cardinal sin, right? Play it as truth, and then the audience will find it funny. Hopefully.
What does a good life mean to you?
Awesome question.
As someone who almost signed a contract for a property in the UK, threw that to one side, and as a backpacker came to Melbourne, or came to Sydney, then Melbourne, love to know what a good life means to you.
Well, I'd love to go and run away to the Highlands of Scotland or somewhere in the Alps and be self-sufficient as well, to be honest, and live a very happy life. I looked at my super objective. I'm quite regimented when I approach a text. Super objective for the play is for Tom to live a good life with, sort of nice how that works, live a good life with Barbara, his wife. That would be my dream as well. Escape to a little cottage, have a little small holding, just live a happy and fulfilling life with my partner. money is very much a means to an end. I've got a good job. I've got a good day job. I think I'm sort of like, the line in Sultans of Swings by Dire Straits. Harry doesn't mind. He's doing all right. He's got a day job or something like that. I feel like that's me at the moment. I'm doing this community theatre for fun.
So you're talking to me about moving away to a remote setting, disconnected from the consumerism and the society that we've created for ourselves over generations. Yet at the same time, you genuinely enjoy connecting with audiences and entertaining people. How do you balance those two?
Absolutely. So probably in my dream, I'd have an infinite pot of money as well. So if the right job came calling, I'd be able to come back to the theatre and do a job and entertain people. I think there's I think you yourself, you're doing the YouTube thing, and that's awesome, and that's something that I would love to do myself. And it's a different breed of connecting to audiences, but it's important. I think it can be really fulfilling as well, to make video form content. So that's in my dream utopia, I suppose that's what I would do on the side, connect to audience like that, and entertain in that way, in a more of a visual format.
And coming back to Bayside and The Good Life, what are you hoping audiences of The Good Life take away at the end of the show?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I really hope they just have a nice time. I think as the Bayside Arts and Brighton Theatre, they're such a generous company. There's going to be sherry beforehand, a bit of wine after, so they're gonna have a good time anyway. But what I hope they take from the show is, obviously, I hope they find the show entertaining. That's what we're trying to do first and foremost. But I do also think I want them to think about, their consumerism. Can they be a little bit more self-sufficient? Can they, cut back on one or two things? They don't have to be keeping up with the Joneses all the time. There's a deeper, there's more ways to enjoy life, which isn't the next best thing. I hope someone feels that. Maybe it's a long shot. Maybe between the laughs we can get a few of those messages in. But that's what I hope.
I'm chatting with Nick Ancelin about The Good Life, which opens on the 7th of November at Bayside Arts and Cultural Centre, a Brighton Theatre Company production. For more info and to book tickets, visit brightontheatre.com.au. Nick, thank you very much for joining me, and all the very best to you and the company for the season ahead.
Thanks so much.